welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lottie and today we have round 9 of the TBR Scrolls. The TBR Scrolls is my monthly TBR game that is based on Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls and the things that are in that world. Going forward, there are going to be a few changes that I'm trialling that I will then implement fully from next year. So let's talk you through what those changes are before we get on with the roles. I'm actually going to turn my monthly TBR game to bi-monthly. I found that I really enjoy doing my TBR game and I love playing it, but I struggle with the books that I'm picking and also fitting in mood reads for the month. I'm a bit of a mix of a mood reader and I like having a structured TBR, so I think doing a bi-monthly TBR game will let me have more wriggle room to do mood reading as well as setting certain books that I would really like to read in the month. I will still be doing monthly TBR videos, it's just every other month will be a TBR Scrolls video instead. I'm also going to up the roles that I do each time I play my game, so at the moment I've been doing 4 roles every single month. I'm going to increase that this month to 5 roles for November and December. See how I get on, and then if I find it really easy to read those 5 books in November and December, I might increase it to 6 roles every 2 months from January, and that way it's kind of like 3 TBR Scrolls books each month, and then I should still have space to do mood reading because I can kind of average between 5 and 8 books I think every single month. So obviously it depends on what I'm reading and the kind of books that I'm reading, but I definitely think that 5 set books for 2 months should be doable. There will be some other changes I'm planning to do from January as well, but we'll talk about that in January's edition of the TBR Scrolls. So let's get on with the roles. If this is your first TBR Scrolls video, welcome. I will leave a link to the playlist in the description and in the cards so that you can check out all the episodes so far and kind of see how the rules have adapted over the last year. I would be doing round 11 of this game at this point, but I took a month off in August and in October as well, and I've kind of started to get into a groove of what I think I want to do with this TBR game. So you can see the rules and kind of what they are at the moment, but they will be changing from January, and in January I will be doing kind of a overview of the board again and what the new rules are and all that jazz. So if this is your first one, welcome. Do check out the playlist, and if this is your 9th TBR Scrolls video, welcome back. Let's get on with the roles. The cards have been shuffled, and in September we left off over here on one of these standing stone spaces, so that's where we're going to start from. So basically let's get on with roll number 1, and we have a 3, and that is people and places. And we've got the companions. Read a book with an animal on the cover or in the title. So the first one was the companions, and the prompt on this is to read a book with an animal on the cover or in the title. So this is a pretty straightforward prompt. For this I've chosen Restless Slumber by Fortuna Swan. You can see here there is a wolf on the cover. This is the second book in the Fortuna Swan series by KJ Sutton. I think I started this series back in February, so it's been a really long time since I've continued on. This is part of the reason why I'm kind of making changes to my TBR game, because I feel like I'm starting a lot of series but not carrying on with any of them, and I really liked the first book and I really want to see where it goes, so I'm going to finally be continuing on with this series over the next couple of months. The first one follows Fortuna, who is a living nightmare, and she's kind of just living in the real world as like a barmaid, and she makes a deal with the king of the Unseelie court to marry him because she's looking for her missing brother. My details are a little bit fuzzy at the moment because it's been so long since I read it, so I'm gonna have to find like a recap video I think to jog my memory, but I'm really excited to be carrying on with the series. Roll number 2, that's a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have Adra and Daedra, and we have got Malacath, who is the prince of the ostracized. Read a book with a non-human main character. So roll number 2 gave us Malacath, who is the Daedric prince of the ostracized, and the prompt on this one is to read a book with a non-human main character. So this could literally be any kind of species, it could be fae, it could be an alien, it could be an animal character, so long as they are not human. So for this, I have chosen the Travelling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arakawa, which is a kind of literary fiction translated from Japanese book about a cat that goes on a road trip with his master or owner or whatever, set against the backdrop of Japan's changing seasons and narrated with a rare gentleness and striking humour. Nana's story explores the wonder and thrill of life's unexpected detours. So this was on my cat books TBR, and I'm really excited to finally be getting started with it. I will be doing a reading vlog of cat books, so I have a couple of others that I'll talk about a little bit later that I'm planning to read as well as a part of that reading vlog. Rule number 3, that is a 2. 2 people and places, and we have Falkreath, read a book with a rural setting. Role number 3 gave us Falkreath, which is to read a book with a rural setting. So that is literally any book that's kind of set in the woods, in the countryside, maybe by the seaside, something like that. So for this, I have chosen Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan. And my reasoning behind choosing this one, because I'm not 100% sure of the setting, but I know it will be at least part set at Camp Half-Blood, which is a bit of a rural setting. So that's kind of how I'm justifying using it for that prompt. This is the second book in the Percy Jackson series, and I'm really excited to be carrying on with this series as well. I really enjoyed the first book, which follows Percy as he finds out he is a half-blood, and he goes on a big quest with his friends to do something. But yeah, this is the second book. I kind of am aware as well that the Disney Plus series will be starting relatively soon. We obviously still don't have a date yet. They're obviously still filming it, but I kind of want to get a little bit of ahead in the book series before that starts, because I do really want to watch it. I'm assuming season 1 will only follow the first book, so I don't think it will go on into like the events of this book, but because this is so short as well, like it's a really easy read. I've never read Percy Jackson before, so I'm really like interested to see what's going to happen to him, especially carrying on with book 2. Roll number 4, and we have a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 people and places, and we've got Bosma, which is the province of Valenwood, and we have read a physical book. Role number 4 was the Bosma, and they are from the province of Valenwood, and the prompt on this one is to read a physical book. So that is pretty straightforward, just any book that I read physically. For this one, I have chosen Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy by Cassandra Clare, which is the next book to read for By the Angel Along. This is the November book for that book club. So this is a short story collection that takes place kind of after all of the books we have read so far for that read along. I don't want to give you too much of a overview of it because it will spoil some things in the series. This is the next book we're reading for By the Angel Along, which was created by the Becca Fowl. I don't know what the December book is going to be just yet, as she hasn't done the announcement for that yet. So this is obviously the November book, so I will be reading it in November, and then I'll have to fit my December book on to my December TBR when I know what that's going to be. This is obviously a very chunky book, but because it's a series of short stories, I feel like it's not going to be too difficult to get through. I'm currently reading the Bane Chronicles, which is another short story collection, and it's quite easy to just kind of read one of the stories every so often. So I feel like this is going to be kind of a quick read despite its length. I have also checked on Scribd if the audiobook was available. Sadly, it's not available in my country according to Scribd, so I'm definitely going to have to read this physically, which is why it was perfect for this prompt. And finally, roll number 5, and that's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's Asia and Daedra, and we have Jigalag, Prince of Order, read a mysterious book. And finally, role number 5 gave us Jigalag, who is the Daedric Prince of Order. And the prompt on this one is to read a mysterious book. So this could be a book I don't know a lot about. It can be a mystery, it could be a thriller, anything that I kind of find mysterious. It could even be something with a mysterious cover as well. For this, I have chosen Double Cross by Mallory Blackman, which is the 4th book in the Noughts and Crosses series. This is mysterious to me because I don't actually know where the story is going to go. I think there is probably going to be another time jump in this book from the last one, which is what we had again with book 3, following on from book 2. So it is kind of mysterious to me because I don't really know what's going to happen in it. I don't know where the story is going to go. I just know it's going to be carrying on from the events of book 3. I also did really want to try and finish this series before the end of the year, which I don't think is likely to happen now because I've got 3 books left, including this one. So I can try and at least you know, get as caught up as possible. I could probably try and squeeze in the 5th book in December and maybe the 6th book as well, depending on how my TBR and reading goes. This is a mysterious book to me because I don't really know what it's going to be about. It's also significantly shorter than the last one, thankfully, so it shouldn't be too difficult to read. I think it's something like 430 pages, so it shouldn't be too difficult for me to get through. This is a dystopian series. In the first book we follow Steffi and Callum, who are kind of like star-crossed lovers. They have a forbidden romance because Steffi is a cross, Callum is a naught, and noughts and crosses aren't allowed to mix. This dystopian world is kind of opposite to the way our world has been, where noughts are white people, crosses are black people, and black people have all of the power and privilege in the world, and the noughts are very, very oppressed. It also kind of follows a terrorism storyline as well, as the noughts try and fight back, but they go about it in a very, very violent way. We are mainly following Callum and Steffi and their families as well, as they all kind of intermingle in this world. It's such a fantastically written series. I really, really recommend it. I think it was really, really ahead of its time when it originally was published, and we also kind of go through generations with the family as well. So if you enjoy a series that spans quite a long period of time, I think you will enjoy this. But I'm really looking forward to finally carrying on with this series. So those are all of the roles for November and December. And these are the books that I'm going to be reading in the next couple of months for TBR Scrolls. So this one I'll definitely be reading in November, but the others is a little bit more of a variant. I could get to those at any point over the next 2 months. I'm very confident about this little pile here. Obviously this one looks really, really chunky, and it is kind of long. I think it's almost 700 pages, but because it's short stories, it shouldn't be too bad. That is my TBR Scrolls TBR. So there are a few other books I would like to get to in November as well. Anything that was spooky for October that I don't get to by the end of the month, I'm kind of going to bump over into November if I can, if I'm still in the mood for those. Kind of in the middle of October at the moment when I'm filming this. I'm kind of very ahead, but I'm confident I'll get through quite a lot of the books that are on my October TBR, fingers crossed. I did mention that I want to do the first of my cat books vlogs probably in November, so obviously the Travelling Cat Chronicles will be on that, and I also would like to read The Cat Who Saved Books by Suzuki Natsukawa, which is another translated fiction from Japanese, and it follows a guy who runs a bookstore and a cat who kind of comes along and helps him save books that have been mistreated. And then the other book that I would read for that vlog are Cats of the Louvre, and this is by Taiyo Matsumoto, and it is a manga about cats in the Louvre Art Gallery Museum in France. This does not have a blurb, so I don't really know what it's going to be about. I suppose I could have picked this for the mysterious book prompt, to be honest. But yeah, I'm very intrigued. It does look a bit freaky in parts. It looks like it's about cats as we know them, but also there are some anthropomorphic cats in there as well as I flick through the pages. So I'm very, very intrigued to see what this one is going to be all about. So do keep your eyes out for that reading vlog. I don't know when it's going to go up yet because I haven't read the books yet, but do keep an eye out for that one. And then the last book I would like to try and read in November is The School for Good and Evil, The Last Ever After by Saman Chinani, which is the 3rd book in the School for Good and Evil series. I have been putting off continuing on with this series because I didn't really like the 2nd book. I kind of want to conclude this like first arc of this series as soon as I can, because the way this series is, it's kind of like 3 books and then another 3 books. I think I feel like the last 3 books are very separate to these first 3. So I feel like this is going to be a kind of conclusion of a main story, so it feels like I'm kind of completing a series, even though there are 3 more books after this one. Obviously this is really long. It's one of the longest middle grades I've ever seen. I'm interested to see how this is going to end. And obviously the film comes out towards the end of October, so I don't know if I'm going to watch it yet because I'm a little bit skeptical of it, especially with what I've seen in the trailer, but I'm really interested to see how this series is going to end. I really, really loved the first book. There were a few things about it that were a bit dodgy, like there's a lot of random fat phobia in there, which I don't understand. But I'm very intrigued to see how this kind of bit of the series is going to come to a close, or if it, you know, it could end up on a cliffhanger. You never know. But yeah, this is a very long book, but I'm definitely going to try and squeeze it in November as well. So with those few extra books, this is what my TBR is looking like for the next 2 months at the moment. It obviously looks quite chunky, but again, 5 of the books on this TBR I am able to carry over into December, so I don't think it's going to be too difficult at all. So that is it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you like this video, please do give it a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you're reading in November, and also let me know what you think of these changes that I'm implementing into the TBR game. I feel like it's going to help me out quite a lot, so I really hope that you enjoy seeing the TBR Scrolls every couple of months and kind of what I'm planning to read on the TBR videos I'll do on the months in between doing my TBR game. If you haven't already and you would like to be, please do consider subscribing. I post a new video every single week, and I'll see you very soon with a new video. Bye!